G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. Spawning in on the southwest side of the map in the color yellow, playing as the Abbasid dynasty. We've got Smooth Operator. Oh yeah, what a good name that is right there. I've been singing that hit song, Smooth Criminal, all this morning. Just watching this guy climb up the ranks, currently Conqueror 3. Looking forward to seeing how he matches up against the opponent for today, who is in the north of the map in the color blue, playing as the Holy Roman Empire. It is Calp. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We're here on the pit watching two of the, I'd say the world's best players, but I'll tell you right now, Smooth Operator currently ranked inside the top 50. Calp also ranked inside the top 50, so I'm gonna do it. We'll say two of the world's best players, top 50. I reckon you're one of the world's best if you're in the top 50. But look, you're not yet in my top 5, and we know that there's a little bit of room in the top 5. You know, there's not necessarily 5 places. It's a fluid. Oh, apologies for that F. I heard that F come through a little bit sharp there for you guys, so apologies for that. But let's talk about this matchup. Fun matchup, really good matchup. I think the biggest thing about this matchup is about whether the Holy Roman Empire player is going to be able to make it to Imperial, if they want to make it to Imperial. You can try and play it out in the Castle Age, but it becomes really difficult. And the main reason why is because the Holy Roman Empire, you can play 1 TC, you can play 2. But if you do play 2 TCs, it's going to be tough up against the Abbasid player because it's likely that you will see them going to 3 TCs. And if that's the case, you're going to need a way to scale with them. So the most common thing, at least the way that I like to play it, is looking to go into that very quick Imperial, look to get the Palace of Swabia up so that you can match the economy. It's the same sort of theory that you play against China, in that you are looking to temporarily let them have the economic lead, and then you're going to overtake them. That's essentially the plan. So we'll have to see exactly how Cap looks to play it, but I'm very excited about this match. I'll say that much, because it is well, I've always been a big fan of the Holy Roman Empire. I've never mained them, but I've always been a really big fan of the way that they play, because they are one of those passive civilizations, and the Abbasid are the same, and especially after the recent changes for them, which brings online a number of their other wings. I mean, realistically, in this matchup, I wouldn't be surprised to see any of the 4 wings. That's kind of crazy, right? Like, think about it just for a second. Okay, it's going to be military wing, which is exactly it, right? Like, I can justify every single one of the... Oh my god, Meinwerk Palace on the other side of the map. Get out of town, ladies and gentlemen. It's happening. So, I just want to go through it. All right, Eco Wing. Okay, I want to get to 3 TCs, so I'm going to go Eco Wing. Military Wing, I want to start off with a little bit of aggression, maybe hit their gold vein, force them to have a bit of idle time, make them, you know, build up an archery range and just annoy them. Meanwhile, I'll go 2 TCs behind it. Culture Wing, I'm going to go Fast Castle, look to try and snipe away the relics before they can. Trade Wing, I'm going to look to outscale them with a really good trading post on this map. The only thing about the Trade Wing is that you're up against a civilization that wants to go Castle Age, probably going to make knights. So Trade Wing doesn't really make a lot of sense in that regard, just because, you know, if it was against another civilization, maybe, but here I could just see like the Fast Castle into picking up relics, into knights, into hitting the traders. It's going to be really tough to deal with, because you're going to have a horsemen, spears, camels. It's not going to be enough to deal with those knights, not when you've got a trade route this long. I mean, you can always look for some walls along the top side or something like that, but it's going to be very tough. So military wing makes a lot of sense here, but you know what doesn't really make sense? It's a Meinwerk Palace with 7 villages on it. Have a look at this bad boy right here. Ladies and gentlemen, something we have not seen in a long time, the Meinwerk Palace. A landmark that Beastie says he would rather... you know what? I don't remember exactly what he said, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it's words to the effect of, I would rather eat my shoes than have to live with a Meinwerk Palace. And those are some fighting words for a man who is making a Meinwerk Palace. Well, I guess Calp is making it. But, you know, one of the things about Calp, we've talked about him recently, we casted a couple games of his, is I do find that he's an aggressive player, but he's also a player that likes to play outside the box. Someone who doesn't necessarily abide by the meta. And speaking of the meta, on the other side of the map, we do see the stable now starting to come up for Smooth Operator. Expect to see those units moving out towards the top side, very early age up here before that 4-minute 20 mark. He's going to start moving out, looking towards that back gold mine. He doesn't actually spot it just yet, but he's got the scout on the other side of the base. He's looking to see where that gold is. Obviously, we want to always try and hit the gold whenever we're up against the Holy Roman Empire, just because that's their key to castle. So if we can lock that out, we're going to be in a great position. Does he spot the landmark? I don't think he spots the landmark just yet. Might be looking for the Archon. Now, the other crazy thing is, Calp had an amazing Archon spot back here. This is like the king of Archon spots. Because it fits perfectly in between the gold vein here and what would have been, at least I think it should fit perfectly. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe that's why he didn't opt for it. I mean, realistically, you can just delete the mining camp and build the Archon right here anyway. But you'd have really good coverage. But the Ville's going to come back through. that's going to cause Kaup a little bit of a concern here. We see the stable being thrown down for him. Now, there's a couple of interesting techs that are in the Meinwerk. You might not be familiar with them. It has happened a couple of patches ago. Back in the day when they changed all of the landmarks, Meinwerk got a change as well. And I'm a big fan of the tech. So the first one gives armor over to horsemen and spearmen. And it's 2 armor, and you can see it's not really going to be much of a help here up against these enemy spears. They're way too strong, and look, you can see him playing with fire right now. This is kind of crazy. Kaup looking to try and take this. I guess he does have access to the prelate early on, so he can look to heal up his horsemen. Does manage to take out the 1 archer, though. Brings them back to the town center, and indeed, right next to the prelate, you can see prelate just going to be working on healing instead of inspiring for the moment. But manages to keep everybody alive. So very nicely microed there. So let's talk about these unique techs. So the first one gives +2 armor over to your spearmen as well as to your horsemen. That's this one right here, riveted chainmail. And the second one gives +2 ranged armor and +2 melee armor to your knights. And that sends your knights into absolute overdrive mode. It is crazy how good they become with that, because you might look at that and think, oh, it's only 2 armor, Drongo. Well, hold on. Let's talk about a knight in Imperial Age. Well, let's go with a Castle Age one, because we're all familiar with that. So it's got 4 base armor, plus the 2 armor on top of it. So 6 armor, 6 range, 6 melee. Now you're going from 6 armor to 8 armor. Let's think about, like, if you're fighting up against a horseman that's doing 9 damage, the difference between 6 armor and 8 armor is you're effectively dropping their damage by a factor of 3. They're going from 3 damage per hit down to 1 damage per hit. That's a big difference. Now, obviously, if you're up against a spearman, where that spear has got a little bit of extra damage, but look at this. We'll talk about it later, because we've got attacks coming in right now. Smooth Operator defending on his stone vein. He's lost 3 villagers out here compared over to the other side of the map, where we do see 2 vills have gone down for Kaup so far. But the defense has come through. He's gone into the archery range, the early archery range coming in here. And it feels so weird to be watching a Holy Roman Empire player not going for an Archon. But I like the fact that he's gone into that early second prelate. We can see that he's got the inspiration out here. Double prelates are actually out here on the wood, so that really shows you how much he's looking to focus on getting those archers out early on in this game. Chasing back a couple of villagers here. We don't see that they've got their textiles upgraded, and he manages to snipe them out. He's got his ranged armor, so they should look to survive a little bit longer. Now, keep in mind that riveted chainmail back home in the Meinwerk is only melee armor for the spears and for the horsemen, so it doesn't give ranged armor, so you're only going to be getting bonus armor against anything that hits you rather than shoots you. But we do now see a second town center going to be coming up for Smooth Operator here. Keep in mind he's got access to fresh foodstuffs. Will be available in the town center. He's already picked it up. It's a cheaper price, remember that. So it means that he can afford to go into it a little bit earlier. I'm still curious to see whether players will look to pick it up as the very first thing that they do once they reach the feudal age or not. But it's a nice little discount, so it's nice to start getting it trickling immediately. But now, archers teeing off on the back line. Horsemen doing a decent job just to screen out for the moment. And Kaup's military numbers starting to look pretty fierce early on in this game. Double prelate still back here. Keep in mind, if he was to put the Archon down here, like this is essentially what he's got. So at this point, all he's done is he's invested in an extra prelate that he normally wouldn't have to have done. Meanwhile, he's got a free blacksmith out of it. He's got cheaper upgrades. Remember that. It's a 40% reduction in the cost of those upgrades, not to mention an increase in 40% speed. Also on top of that, unique technologies, which is the big thing for me. So I think that the Meinwerk definitely a little bit underrated. I know that Beastie, as I mentioned before, is definitely not a fan. But I still think it leaves a little bit... the main thing to note about the Archon Chapel that you're really missing out on is that just consistent throughout the game farm transition, right? Like you throw it right now down next to the wood line and you're just transitioning to farm super easily with it. You can see Prelate tanking up a little bit of damage there. Outpost going to be able to fire down onto those horsemen. Yet to pick up their ranged armor upgrade, so that might lose it. 8 health though. Manages to get away. Counterattack coming in on that bottom side. Barrack's going to be coming up for Smooth Operator. And the Tier 1 Golden Age gets activated 9 minutes in, so a little bit of a delay on that one, that is for sure. Quite a late timing on that. But Smooth Operator now, with that second TC, investing a few more resources into his economy, not enough into his military for the moment, means he's going to be a little bit harder on the defense here. Has to evacuate all those villagers out, but they do begin to move down towards this south side. He's got berries here where he can go for, and now we see 4 prelates coming out for Calp. And a lot of people will look at this and say, but Drongo, that's just a waste of resources. I mean, he's only got 1 TC, so every prelate he's making is losing a villager. And yeah, that's true. But at the same time, if you had the Ark and Chapel, you wouldn't be buffing these up either. And on top of that, they also get a second use, which is arguably their most important use. That's picking up the relics. Because if you do end up going for that Regnitz Cathedral, that relic is so damn important for you. So if you can manage to time it so that you age up and you hit all 4 of those relics, you pick them up all at the same time, your enemy doesn't even have a chance to respond to you having those relics. You just pick them up, bring them on the way in. You know, maybe they take out 1 or 2, but there are 5 relics that are in play, and there are 5 prelates in the bank for Calp right now. So there is a massive opportunity for him here, and I think he has recognized that. So really well played so far.
Yeah.
Prelates now moving over towards that west side of the map. Regnitz Cathedral in the back of the base. Expect to see every single prelate moved out here with the exception of the 1. He knows where every relic is. Let's take a look and see. 1, he spots them all out. He knows where they all are. Don't be surprised if he just toggles through every single one. This is going to be something of beauty. I love this. I love this so much. Because to me, the Holy Roman Empire, it just all comes down to relics. As long as you can collect those relics, you can turn them into whatever you want. Now, it looks like on this south side, there is a single relic that will get denied out. And you can see the fact that Smooth Operator spots this. This should trigger a little bit of concern for him, saying, well, why is your prelate moving out? That means that you're aging up. And if you're aging up, well, let's go put on the pressure. So immediately comes out towards the deer out over here. We can see he was looking to throw down an additional mill. But let's check in on the side of Calp. First one picked up. Second one picked up. Third one picked up. Fourth one, a little bit out of position with that prelate. Obviously, the 5th one did get eliminated by the enemy horseman. But it was well played. Nice little distraction attempt from Calp. I think he was probably about 10 seconds early on this relic down here. If it wasn't for that prelate being spotted, the attack over on this west side, I think that his opponent would have come over and looked to defend that. And it's funny how that works, because just simply by that happening, he knows, okay, you're aging up, and that means I can put on the pressure. So just seeing that 1 prelate was enough to give him that information. So well played by Smooth Operator here. Let's look to see how he defends. We'll switch it over to income per minute so you can get a bit of an idea as to where the income stacks up between these 2 players. You see the relics getting thrown into the outposts. Obviously, that 4th one's on the way back as well. So he's got the 2 and 2 at the moment. 2 in the bag, 2 on the way. There's the 3rd one now in safely. A 5th and final relic sits in the middle of the map. Does he look for those unique upgrades? Not just yet. Does have access to that steel barding, which is definitely one of my favorite unique upgrades. And we start to see veterancy coming through. Also looking to pick up some crossbows. Now, crossbows, I will say right now, are very interesting to go into against a civilization which has no armored units in the feudal age. Wallalo on the west side. Won't be able to find it. Oh, I love that sound. God, I love that sound. That is so nice. The sound design that they did on that Wallalo is so much better now that it has that little bit at the end that really tells you when it's coming in. Because before, you just kind of were left hanging. You never knew what was going to happen. You're like, oh, the Wallalo. But now it's like, it really ramps up into it. We're yet to see it, but I'm confident when we do, when it gets pulled off successfully, it is going to be, it is tide-turning, energetic battlefield stuff. I'm loving it. Looks like the relic, though, will make it back safely. Throwing down a 3rd outpost here on the back line. Units running through. Veterancy about to come in for these units. We can see the riveted chainmail also going to be coming through. Spears on the front. Should be able to slice through most of this, but the veterancy comes through with perfect timing. Villager's going to have to make a bit of a run for it. No sprinkled in placement just yet. He's got the arrow slits. That's going to be it for him. But all the spears taken out now. And that just leaves the town centers and the arrow slits to deal with the rest of this, and they've done a great job. So now the big thing for me, for Calp, is just getting Imperial, right? How do I get Imperial from here, though? That's the question, because I don't have an Ark and Chapel. And without an Ark and Chapel, I don't have a centralized location for my farms. Now, granted, I can just throw down a mill, and I can just put farms around it, and I can stick a prelate on top, and everything's fine and dandy. But what about my 2nd one? What about my 3rd one? What about my 4th one? And, well, granted, I've got 3 prelates, and I'm making 2 more. But at the same time, it feels like that ease of transition. It's not as easy. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. It's so good. It is so good. It's so fierce towards the end. I feel like it's primal almost, the way that, like there's really that sense of, but we've got a prelate out here to pick up a 5th relic. Is it going to happen, though? You can see that Smooth Operator's moving towards it. Just kind of spots out the relic. He says, hey, buddy, what are you doing? You've been lost out here, mate. I know that there's a relic nearby. Have you guys seen it? Yeah, we've seen it, sir, but it's not for you guys. It's for us. Okay, fair enough. You do you. Culture Wing coming through for Smooth Operator. He's got a couple of options upon aging up. Does he look to go into Imperial? We could see that, but with no military wing, it kind of doesn't make sense for him to do it. He's got a lead of 20 villages. So I think he's probably going to look to try and play it out in the castle age. I think that makes the most sense here. But as I mentioned, like the key here is that with Culture Wing, you can immediately go into Preservation of Knowledge and look to age up straight away. We've seen players like Don Artie abuse or exploit that technique. But normally you want to follow it up with the military wing. That's the key, because then you get the 3 hand cannoneers. And 3 hand cannoneers, it might not seem like a lot, but it's kind of expensive when you look at the numbers. 120, they're 240 resources each. So if you're getting 3 of them, you're talking about 720 resources. So, you know, however much it costs to age up, deduct 720 resources from it, and congratulations, that's your prize. But we do now see that unique upgrade coming through. The riveted chainmail has come through for the horsemen and spears, and of course was it the barded mail, the mail bard? I can't remember exactly the name of it, but it wasn't camel barding, I'll say that much. But you can see they've got that little bit of extra armor on them now, able to defend up the front. Spear is going to get taken out before that upgrade comes through. In fact, they're not even looking for veterancy just yet. Finally, that Preservation of Knowledge coming through for Smooth Operator. A little bit delayed on that. Crossbows are out here as well, but once again, I've just got to throw that remark out there. The fact that you're up against a civilization with no armored units in the feudal age yet, open with crossbows once you get up there, is a little bit curious, but we see the Ghoul arms are now going to come out, so maybe just anticipating their arrival. We can see Cap now getting pushed back. He is looking for an Imperial Age, though, and we'll be able to find it here. Expect to see the Swabia going down on the inside. Instead, looking to place it on the outside. Okay. Curious. I guess he's probably just going to look to place farms around it, maybe. Normally, you see it go down inside the wood line, though. But here, not going to be the case. Now, one of the big things for me, and I think we see him doing it, is he's throwing down this outpost. This outpost here, yeah, these are perfect. So he needs to make sure he's got enough stone to get the bombard emplacement. That's what's going to keep him alive. That's what's going to basically say, look, try and dive me and see what happens. And you can see him looking to fortify all of these outposts. Oh, he doesn't actually have an emplacement on this one. So this one is a perfect candidate for it. 281 stone. So he needs to purchase 200 more stone here, which he can afford to do. So expect to see that coming through very, very soon. But now those units looking to make their way around the top side. He's still got plenty of military up here. But the numbers are starting to look good for his opponent. 31 to 10. Also outnumbering him on the village count. Now, let's do some quick math. I know you guys love quick math. So, at the moment, he's up 26 villages. How long is it going to take for Kaup to catch up to him? Now, it depends if he makes villages out of the TC. Let's assume that he does. He's 4 town centers equivalent against 2 town centers equivalent. So, that means that every minute that goes by, his opponent is making 6 villages, whereas Kaup is making 12 villages. So, if we extrapolate that out, I don't know exactly what the numbers are going to be, because I'm not going to do quick math right now. But for anybody who is quite quick on the math, I invite you to do it. Kaup, one of the keys to Palace of Swabia is that you want it to create villages at all times. Very important. Good job. There we go. But we can now see that he does have the workers beginning to work and put down their farms. I'm curious how he managed to get up to the Imperial Age despite not making any farms whatsoever. That's kind of wild, right? 6 prelates out for him. A lot of them in the wood line. I guess he's looking at just keeping this as like his defense. He doesn't really care that much about this front, it seems. And to be honest, there's no real need to care about it. A lot of people will look to commit to defending this. But ask yourself this question. What really is there here? There's a couple of houses. There's a production building or 2. And then there's just a Meinwerk palace. And sure, the Meinwerk palace, it's a landmark. But at the end of the day, you've got 2 more landmarks up here. It's not the end of the world if you lose this. But if you lose your units, then we're talking about the end of the world. Looks like the barracks now going to start coming out. Smooth Operator continuing to add more military. And now we can see those cannon emplacements firing down upon the enemy units. The Lancers going to cop a couple of shots right there. Ragnitz Cathedral very happy. Keep in mind, he's still only got the 4 relics. Never managed to pick up that 5th one. But that's still pretty decent in my book. I'd love to see for Kaup just a nice little wall up along this top side just to keep himself safe from any kind of raids coming through. Second Golden Age tier gets activated for Smooth Operator, and he's looking to go absolutely smooth right now. take a look at the difference in military population between these guys. Or rather, not military pop, but total population. 81 versus 140. In fact, Smooth Operator stalled out a little bit here. Cap's landmark goes down. Second one now going to get focused down by these battering rams after the archery range. And I would be surprised. I doubt he's even going to look to use emergency repairs here on this. You probably just want to save it for the back line. We can see that these outposts. It looks like he's got a couple of outposts here prepared. Yeah, looking to just try and tank up some of the damage here. And that's going to be key. Another big thing that I'd love to see him go for is a culverin. A single culverin. Maybe even look to wall it in. Just a nice little box back here just so that it's safe. And then that way you can defend everything against battering rams. We can see the Siege Workshop is coming up now. So expect to see him moving into a culverin. But this is definitely a defense for the ages right now. Another outpost coming in on the front line here with the Swabia. Could be looking to continue fortifying all of these positions. An absolute Giga Chad move right here. Town center will go down. No emergency repairs wasted on this, absolutely. Oh! No, he left it till the last second, you cheeky, sneaky little calp. But the landmark got destroyed, but the landmark's dead, but he's killed the landmark, but the emergency repairs comes through. Interesting. I didn't know that that's how that works. Another bug. Trade wing on the other side of the map now coming through Imperial Age. I tell you what, Smooth Operator is absolutely pulling this off in a smooth way. 53 military pop versus the 18. Going into Imperial Age now, and instead going to be looking for a bombard. He had a mangonel in queue, then switched it out to a bombard. I can't help but feel like a culverin here could be the answer that he needs. You can see him really struggling here. Not a lot of room to deal with these units on the front. He needs more access to farmland. He's got plenty behind here if he wants to go for it. I'd advocate for deleting maybe a couple of these lumber camps, get them in a little bit closer, and we can hear those bombards firing off successfully against the battering rams, despite their 50 ranged armor. Still dishing out the damage. Villagers towards the top side. Stonewalled in safely for the moment. There are 21 of them up here. That's about a quarter of the economy for Cap. And keep in mind, he is still rebuilding that economy, slowly getting it back up. Landmark victory is approaching very quickly. Looks like villagers down on the south side will be dropping down markets here as well for Smooth Operator. Looking for that veterancy upgrade. And we now see the unit mass beginning to build here for Smooth Operator. Triple the military amount of his opponent. I'll just inform you guys. So my little guy, he's upstairs at the moment, and he's in the playroom. And I've got a baby camera that I use to watch him when he's asleep. But when he's in the playroom, I watch him. Now, keep in mind, my wife's up there as well. But, you know, I just like to keep an eye out. Anyway, he's gone and attacked the camera, and he's pulled it down, and I'm visually witnessing the destruction of the baby camera right now in front of me. I've got my mobile phone. It's just a black screen now. It's like the signal has been lost. I feel like upstairs has been under attack by a monster. But anyway, look, I'll give you a little bit of a baby update. So little guy has turned 1. He started walking. And he is just a monster. Like, quite literally, just it's insane how quick he goes. He kind of reminds me of like a crab, the way that he moves. It's just like brrr, like so quick. And when he goes up the stairs as well, like that's the real crab-like thing. But he's I tell you what, he's a handful. It is fun being a father. I got to say, that's the best decision I've ever made, becoming a dad, because that is a bright spark of joy. But let's focus more on this game, though. 180 population for Smooth Operator. We've seen him pop-capped a couple times here because of a lack of houses, which is interesting, because normally, you know, you'd expect a Conqueror 3 guy in the top 50 to be on top of that kind of thing. But we do see now he manages to bring it all together and adds in those extra houses. Looks for the upgrades as well. We start to see the elite upgrades coming in. So moving into elite crossbows here. So I think Calb's done a relatively good job in holding off the attack. And by the same token, I think Smooth Operator realized and kind of said, okay, I know I shouldn't push under this, right? Like, we've seen what happens when you push underneath even just a single outpost with a cannon emplacement in it. And look at this. Like, you've got 1, 2 with a cannon emplacement, 3 with a cannon emplacement. This one doesn't have it yet. This one's got one. This one's got one. Like, all of these have got cannon emplacements. Like, this is the impenetrable fortress of Calp right now. And you know better than to mess with it. Relic picked up on the other side. Sacred Site's now going to be coming online as well for our Abbasid player. Looking to really play the long game here. Starting to just collect that passive gold. And we can see the unit numbers starting to build here. Calp's still down 70 military population. If there's one way that Smooth Operator can finish this, it's going to have to be through long-range siege. Now, I wouldn't advocate for cannons or bombards. I would be advocating completely for trebuchets. Even though you're up against that emergency repairs, the reality is you're just going to get taken out by those Culverin. They're so powerful. But even though at the moment we don't actually see Calp with any Culverin on the field, there's always the risk that he moves into it. Normally, I'd like to see 2 Culverin, 2 bombards, 2 mangonels from a Holy Roman Empire player. Just really makes you safe from all aspects of offense. But now, the Culverin is in queue. But look at the siege numbers coming out here. Bombard firing off. Cannon joining the queue as well. Stonewalls coming in on the south side. It looks like we might have ourselves a little bit of a siege attempt. And the trades coming in on this back line. 67 gold, not too bad. Being dropped off here. Cannon firing down. 130 economic units versus 118, or 129 versus 119. So pretty much even Stevens at this point. And the crossbows dishing out the damage. But it's so hard to push into this. This is the real difficult thing from the perspective of Smooth Operator, is he needs siege. He needs siege. You can't take this fight without siege. It's just not possible. Now, you can look to try and come up here, but the reality is, how are you going to get behind those stone walls without siege? It all comes down to siege, and this is where it's almost tempting to allocate about, 15 to 20 population just to siege, because it can really make the difference here. And look, you could go into a whole bunch of bombards, but you're just going to be up against those Culverin, and so it's one of those things where it's like, it's only a matter of time until they're just going to get sniped out. At least with the trebuchets, though, you can be a little bit more aggressive and in your defense of them. All right, well, Lance Connector numbers are beginning to build here. Still yet to receive the elite upgrade. We can see he's picking up a whole bunch of them. He's picking up veterancy on the men-at-arms. Elite spears have got their upgrades as well. And elite army tactics going to be coming in. A little bit of extra health, a little bit of extra damage for these infantry units. And now Smooth Operator in the north. He's been fighting out against this defense. I tell you what, if there was ever a game that was... what's the word I'm trying to think of? Emboldened? No, it encompassed the idea of defense. This is it. Just the unstoppable defense right here. This is the impenetrable fort that we are witnessing right now from Calp. Numbers still yet to build up to 186. He's almost maxed out though. Smooth Operator still with no siege, and Calp continuing to build out farms onto the front line. Normally you like to put your farms in the back and everything else in the front. Calp going for a little bit of the reverse-a-roo strategy. I do like that. But it just seems like this is impossible for his opponent to deal with. And now Calp has managed to even up that villager count. Now, granted, the tempo is still definitely in favor of his opponent. Just keep in mind he's got access to that trade. He's also going to be looking to have those big trade upgrades in. But Calp has got the relics going for him as well. On top of that, the Culverin are really going to help tee off towards it. Now, obviously, both players have access to the Culverin here. We've got an Abbasid player on the other side, but still, it makes you a little bit worried when you see these kind of numbers starting to come out here. And Calp now looking to even throw out more Culverin. So looking to go up to a total of 4 Culverin, despite not seeing any siege from his opponent. Upgrades now looking to come in. Look at that, 210 gold for tier 3 upgrades. Don't mind if I do, mate. Don't mind if I do. Looks like a wall going to be coming out in the middle. Very aggressive wall here. He's going to be looking to try and deny this sacred site from the opponent, and will be taking a very smart move in walling it off as early as he possibly can. Manages to get a complete wall up with the exception of a single wall piece. There is an idle villager here. Stonewall having a little bit of trouble getting up. Only got the 30 health on it, but the spears should be able to clean it up. Could look to come in from this top side. I think that's exactly what he's going to do. He's got the Gulams here, yet to receive an upgrade. He's got the elite army tactics on the way, though. And now the siege a little bit exposed here. Not a lot of outposts to defend this. The Ghulam's going to be running in. Keep in mind, they've got their double attacks to be able to eliminate these siege units very quickly, and indeed they do. Bombard going to be going down. Colv's going to dive underneath the outpost. We can see still those 2 Colvs are in queue for the moment. Siege works now coming through for both players as tier 3 gets activated. They say, don't mind me, I'll go to tier 3 for the golden age. And now that counterattack, oh my lord, we got ourselves a counterattack. What kind of upgrades we got? Oh my lord, he's yet to go into a whole bunch of these important upgrades. Composite bows are a really good one. That extra little bit of camel armor as well, or rather armor for your infantry when there's a camel around. But look at this counterattack though. He's going to be able to find plenty of villagers here. Spear's so difficult to deal with in the late game when they've got this 5 melee armor from that extra chainmail. And it looks like the wall has come up successfully. Sacred site is being contested, but units will move down towards it. He's going for this sacred victory. Another 8 minutes on it to go. Outpost up in the center here. He will be expecting a cannon emplacement. And now, cleaning up all the units that are back here, trying his best. We can see that the elite horsemen are out, and as well as the hand cannoneers. He's going to be moving into the hand cannoneers. Got a little bit of extra health on them. So what upgrades is he missing? Most importantly, camel support. This is a really nice upgrade. Medical sentence is also great if you've got keeps. I guess armored caravans, now that your enemy's broken through. A little bit of a... wait, do we actually have traders going to... Ooh, that's awkward. Traders are actually going to the House of Wisdom. I tell you what, I really don't like that change. The fact that the House of Wisdom is a home market just doesn't make any sense to me. It's not optimal. I mean, sure, it's nice, but it's like... Why, though? It'd be like having a house as a home market. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, I'm not going to say it doesn't make sense. I just don't like it. That's it, right? Like, because the devs do dev things. I just critique it. I'm a critic. That's what I do. Actually, that's a pretty good title, right? Imagine if you're like a movie critic. Like, all you do is you just talk shit about things. That is it. Can you imagine that as a job? Like, this movie was pathetic. I don't know why I did that in a French Marine Lord accent, but I guess Marine Lord is just the kind of guy to say that kind of... To be honest, I know Marine Lord IRL, and he is one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. Which is funny, because his online persona, he is like a total badass. But then you meet him in person, and he's like, he's the sweetest guy. He wouldn't know how to fly, that guy. But now, Spearman numbers still looking to defend. I love the way that Kalp is just pushing forward here. The Sacred Site timer no longer alive. And now Smooth Operator, he's down 40 population here. I don't know where these units have gone, but the Culverin on the backside just teeing off on all of the units here. These are really interesting units because they still do enough damage where they represent a huge threat just to non-siege units. But if any siege units come out, then obviously they're going to take them out as well. They're just like the snipers, like the backline snipers, the sharpshooters of the backline right now. You can see that he's trying to make his way through. Culverin will move forward, able to focus on the first one. Looks like the response is going to be just to hit the Stonewall Gate. More Culves coming out. 3 against 2. 3 against none, actually. 3 against 3 bombards, which is not a fight you want to be able to take. And now back towards those cannon emplacements. What a game we've got right here as more emplacements going to be coming online shortly as the towers get thrown down. Nothing on this top side as stone walls begin to come up. Nothing on the bottom side as stone walls begin to come up. It is all just a man fight in the middle, and the Culverins are the kings of the day. Oh, an incredible defense right there from Kalp. A really interesting style of defense, which was very much like a come at me if you dare style. You know, it was very much like you will not come in here. If you do, you will die. Do not even try. And very much Smooth Operator had to respect that, but you can now see Kalpers come online. And this was the whole game plan from the beginning. We talked about this, going Palace of Swabia in the Imperial Age, letting your enemy have that economic lead, letting them build up, but making sure that you stay alive until your relics come online. And now we've reached that point, 142 versus 142, but take a look at the economic difference between these guys. I mean, I say take a look at the difference. It looks pretty even Stevens at the moment. You're talking about 7k coming in over on this side compared to about 5-6k over on this side. It seems pretty damn even, but those relics will make the difference. The longer this game goes on, there is only so much gold on the map. And continuing down the center of the map, it looks like it's going to be a transition into the elite men-at-arms here, up against those Ghulams. Look how much health they've got, 310 health against the 216 of the men-at-arms. That's absolutely insane, the difference in health that they've got. Culverin's firing off, looking to hit those siege units on the backside. Should be able to find it. There goes the first bombard. Triple Culverin now coming out from Smooth Operator. Talk about some smooth operations. Now looking to fire down on his opponent. The Culverin's not paying attention. He's now going to unpack, and you can see the beautiful micro coming out from Kalp, just able to stay one ahead of his opponent at all stages of the game. Hand Cannoneer mass beginning to build here. I tell you what, Hand Cannoneer Culverin might be a decent combo that he needs here. We can see Ghulam's in queue. He's up to 23 Hand Cannoneers now. We'll be able to melt through these men-at-arms. The Culverin's going to be the main difference here. Expect to see a Mangonel or two coming out from Kalp soon, but oh no, Kalp going to be going into one of his favorite units. We've seen him do it time and time again. It's the battering ram, baby. He's got plenty of them in queue, and they begin to march their way forward. Colv's getting taken out. Look at this. Only one Colv pushing up against the 2 of the enemy. Repairs also coming in. Looks like it's going to get taken out, and indeed it does. Just an absolute micro difference right now. You've heard of the mid diff. You've heard of the bot diff. Now it's time to see the micro diff right here. That is the difference that good micro can make. It will decide a game for you. And Kalp demonstrating the difference between a top 50 player and a top 40 player right there. I mean, it's a small difference, but that is what you need to be paying attention to in these late game fights, and Kaup just showing it, just demonstrating it perfectly. Smooth Operator now really struggling with that food economy. Yet to go into the economic wing. Note that he doesn't have access to agriculture. Note that he doesn't have access to improved processing. It is a tough position right now for Smooth Operator. Hand Cannoneers still firing off towards his front line, but the numbers really starting to build from these men-at-arms. And once he starts streaming them in onto the back line, they're going to have that extra little bit of movement speed to run past these Hand Cannoneers. And that should be really making it difficult for Smooth Operator, because right now he's got a food problem. He needs to be transitioning more to farms. Let's take a look and see how many he's got at the moment. Only 41 farms. Keep in mind, with a nice, solid economy on traders, it's not going to be really, like, he needs to be focusing a lot more on farms. Maybe up to 50, maybe even up to 60 farms, something like that for this late game, because Gulams are also quite heavy when it comes to the food cost. You can see 120 food. And now the first landmark's gone down. It's going to be the town center. Second one now beginning to get focused. It's lost 600 health already. I don't know whether he's got court architects in just yet. I suspect probably not. 17,000 health is quite a fair bit, though. We see up towards that top side more units coming through. A keep up on the sacred site for Smooth Operator, but I tell you what, the only place he needs to keep alive right now is this House of Wisdom. Look at the battering rams. They continue to roll through. We can see more and more villagers being brought forward. Traders, they're not going to be much help here as they come through to trade with the House of Wisdom. It's down to 11,600 health. And Kaup begins pushing forward. The bombards on the back line, taking out the villagers here. Smooth Operator really starting to struggle on the defense. Trying his best to keep himself alive here. The tier 3 House of Wisdom at this point. And there's the court architects finally coming through. 46 seconds to go. More villagers going to get pulled. 3,000 wood in the bank, more than enough, but he's losing vills like a madman right now. But unfortunately, he still continues to train them. You can hear them popping off 4 culverins, 5 culverin on the south side. But look at Kaup now. He's just able to snipe out all of these culves here. Villagers gonna get focused down by the Hand Cannoneers, but still, their House of Wisdom, they're on the wrong side. They need to make their way over, but they're just too far away. Gulams coming in. Kaup looking for an absolute blitz of an attack right now. Look at the battering rams. 13 out alive, 8 more in the queue. Lange connects coming through. A single culverin remains, and he just looks like he's gonna commit right now. He needs to pull every single villager to the front line, and that's exactly what he does. Smooth Operator with a hell of a defense. Is it gonna hold on? I don't think it will. There's way too many rams here. He is sieging down the house. The battering rams look like they're gonna be able to take this game, and good game will not get called, but rather you will be forced to the Shadow Realm. The Golden Age gets deactivated, and so does the Smooth Operator. Fellas, if you've enjoyed this game, make sure you check out Kaup. I'll leave a link in the description to where you can watch him live as we see that our match is complete and flashing back and forward. Oh, that was a good one. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. What a game.